Sometimes the most dangerous attacks don't come with weapons or armies. They come wrapped in stories. Stories that twist the truth, distort identity, and spread like wildfire until the lie feels louder than the person it originally targeted. In 2025, conservative political commentator Candace Owens released Becoming Brigitte. This sponsored, 2-season, 10-episode podcast is meant to prove, according to Candace Owens, that Brigitte Macron, the First Lady of France, is secretly her husband Emmanuel Macron's transgender father, and that all of this is a part of a CIA mind control experiment. The book, Who is Brigitte, explains in 2025 that overnight speculation sparked doubts about everything from Brigitte's identity, her marriage, and even the stability of the French presidency. Today, we need to analyze Candace Owens' documentary to see how her attacks on the French Prime Minister's wife are an example of weaponized political misogyny at play. Thus, prompting our research question: how does Rhetorical Framing by Candace Owens utilize political misogyny to undermine women and the trans community in political discourse? To answer this research question, we turn to the elite-driven model of political misogyny by political scientist Susan Dovey in her 2024 research paper, The Elite-Driven Model of Political Misogyny. To give us an enhanced understanding of how political misogyny forms, how it spreads, and how it can ultimately harm women everywhere, making it critical for our analysis. So first, I will discuss the model, then apply it to Becoming Brigitte, before answering our research question and going over some implications. Because when a political leader can rewrite a woman's identity in a sentence, that's not just gossip. That is power at play. Candace Owens turned a woman's life into a living hell and my community's identity into an insult. Let us first begin with some background on the theory. The elite-driven model of political misogyny was published to the American Political Science Association in 2024 by political scientist Susan Dovey. Dovey asserts that political misogyny is an elite-driven process that directs and transfers the hatred and revulsion felt against high-profile women in politics to those who resemble and align with said high-profile women in politics. And it has 3 necessary components. That 1, political elites will advance nasty claims about women in politics. That 2, these nasty claims will then connect to and activate gender prejudices against women in politics. And that 3, audiences will accept and internalize the collective repugnant connotations of the nasty claims as part of their own beliefs. For instance, Dovey highlights Hillary Clinton and her emails as an example of weaponized political misogyny at play. Starting with our first component, nasty claims from elites. Dovey asserts that nasty claims start with elites, such as politicians, social media influencers, and news anchors, publicly attacking women in politics. These insults often rely on double standards, criticizing women for being everything from too emotional or too cold, to smiling too much, to not smiling enough, to being too qualified or not qualified enough for a position. And the harshest attacks don't even just question competence. They portray women as a whole as repulsive, aiming to delegitimize us entirely. Our second component, activation of gender prejudices. Dovey asserts that these attacks carry extra weight because they link a woman's political identity to her body, drawing on deep-rooted stereotypes such as the nagging wife or controlling mother, and tapping into cultural biases in ways that insults towards men, such as calling Donald Trump a Cheeto, typically don't. The impact only grows when these messages come from credible figures and are repeated, spreading harmful gender norms and justifying women's exclusion from power. Our final component, audience acceptance. Dovey highlights that audiences may accept these claims through both conscious belief and unconscious bias. And when they do so, they may not just reject one woman, but others who share her traits or political stance. Now, of course, as Dovey asserts, political misogyny doesn't affect all women equally. It varies by context, culture, and audience. But overall, these repeated attacks can help to reinforce structural inequality while being dismissed as just personal. So we've talked about the theory. Let's apply it to our documentary, Becoming Brigitte. Starting with our first component, nasty claims from elites. The term for Candace Owens' documentary is a transvestigation, which is defined by GLAAD in 2025 as a conspiracy theory that asserts that many celebrities or other prominent members of society are secretly transgender. Proponents claim to be able to identify one's transness through photographic or videographic evidence. And these transvestigations will often target powerful women, from Taylor Swift to Michelle Obama to Olympic athletes. In my opinion, speculating about someone's genitals is a deeply weird way to spend one's precious time on this earth, but Candace Owens takes it a step further by asserting that the First Lady of France is her husband's father. Our second component, activation of gender prejudices. According to the 19th in 2025, the falsehood that women like Brigitte Macron aren't real women limits the spectrum of what a woman can look like, can be, and how she can participate in society. Owens activates misogyny by asserting that the First Lady of France, a former teacher and accomplished gentlelady, is secretly a man. For our final component, audience acceptance, quite clearly, Candace Owens' series gained a lot of traction. As of March of 2025, multiple TikTok reactions had over 7 million views each, with Candace Owens' series itself receiving anywhere from 2 to 5 million views per episode, as well as sponsorships from a meatpacking company, a vitamin supplement company, and even a home realtor agency. So we've applied our theory to our documentary. Let's answer a research question and go over some implications. Today, we asked the research question, how does rhetorical framing by Candace Owens utilize political misogyny to undermine women in the trans community in political discourse? And to answer this research question, we turned to the Southern Poverty Law Center in 2025, who states that Candace Owens' attacks highlight the intersection between misogyny and transphobia. By asserting that the First Lady of France isn't a real woman, it limits the spectrum of what women can do in society. By doing so, Owens is activating misogyny by asserting that there could be no world in which a woman could achieve a high position of political power. And transvestigations tend to do the same thing as well, with Candace Owens' series itself being a spark that lit the flame to attack Brigitte Macron. But of course, it isn't all negative. There are some very key positive implications to discuss today. Starting with our positive implications, according to the Journal of Machine Learning with Applications in 2023, when repeated attacks come at women or LGBTQ+ candidates, candidates may unite and push back against these harmful claims. In doing so, as the AP News reports in 2024, we can hit these harmful claims where they hurt the most: people's wallets. We can boycott, we can direct our friends and family to not listen to these harmful claims, and we can actively fight against them. In doing so, we can work to deplatform influencers who spread harmful gender norms and justify women's exclusion from power. Because we as a forensics community and we as a society can both stand up to these nasty claims and fight for a world of truth. However, of course, there are very key negative implications to discuss today, not least of which is that this documentary harmed Brigitte Macron's real life. According to the BBC in July of 2025, Brigitte Macron will need to show photos of herself pregnant and raising her children in an international court of law to prove that she is a woman. This isn't journalism. This is harassment. Candace Owens is turning a woman's most sensitive moments into public spectacle, and we cannot allow that to stand. As the Southern Poverty Law Center continues in 2025, these repeated attacks can reinforce structural inequalities. By reducing confidence in women or LGBTQ+ candidates, we may see a reduction in those candidates running. In doing so, we weaken an already fractured democracy by making our representative system significantly less representative of our population. So today, we discussed the elite-driven model of political misogyny by political scientist Susan Dovey. We applied it to Becoming Brigitte by Candace Owens before answering our research question and going over some implications. Candace Owens' series isn't just a jab at one woman in politics. It is elite-driven power at work. Candace Owens turned a woman's life into a living hell and my community's identity into a weapon to deplatform women. If we allow that to stand, we aren't just failing women and trans people. We are failing all of us.